In a rundown corner of the city, where dilapidated houses crowded together, there lived a small kitten named Milo. Milo was an orphaned cat, living in an abandoned house with his scruffy fur. Unlike the other cats in the neighborhood, Milo had no one to love or care for him. Because of his shabby appearance and poverty, Milo often became the target of bullying by the neighborhood cats. Every day, they came up with all kinds of mischievous ways to tease Milo. Sometimes, they pushed him into dirty puddles. Other times, they threw sand into his eyes. And at times, they even took away the little food he managed to scavenge from the trash cans on the streets. Milo always tried to endure in silence, quietly avoiding those mean cats. One day, after Milo was lying by the roadside following a terrible bout of bullying, a police cat named Max happened to walk by on his patrol. Max noticed Milo, his eyes tired and full of despair. The police cat Max stopped, gently picked Milo up, and brought him to the police station. There, Max took care of Milo, feeding him a hearty meal and letting him sleep in a warm bed. Gradually, Milo began to feel the safety and warmth he had never known before. Max was not just the one who rescued him from his harsh life, but he also taught Milo valuable lessons about courage and justice. Milo decided to turn his life around and dreamed of becoming a police cat like Max to protect the weak. Years passed, and Milo had grown up. He was no longer the weak, scruffy little kitten. He had become a strong, smart, and decisive police cat. One day, while on patrol, Milo came across the same group of cats that used to bully him. They were still troublemakers, causing chaos in the neighborhood and picking on smaller cats. But this time, Milo was no longer the helpless kitten he once was. He swiftly apprehended them and took them to the police station. Those mean cats were now punished for their malicious actions. Milo looked at them, not with hatred, but with forgiveness, understanding that anyone can change. In the end, Milo became a symbol of courage and kindness in the neighborhood. He always remembered Max, the one who saved his life, and he continued down the path of justice, helping other vulnerable cats just like he once had been.
In a small corner of the city, there was a cat named Toby. Toby was a young cat with pale yellow fur and sad eyes. He had no one to rely on, so he had to fend for himself and wander the streets. Every day, Toby roamed the streets to make a living, often scavenging for leftovers in the trash. But life on the streets was harsh. Sometimes for days on end, he couldn't find anything to eat. His rumbling stomach made Toby increasingly weak and desperate. One afternoon, while passing by a sausage shop, Toby caught a whiff of a delicious aroma that made his hungry stomach growl even more. He stood in front of the shop, staring longingly at the sausages on display. Toby knew he didn't have any money to buy them, but his hunger clouded his judgment. In a moment of impulse, Toby dashed into the shop, grabbed a sausage, and ran away. The shopkeeper saw him and immediately called the police. Toby tried to escape, but soon found himself surrounded by the authorities. The little cat trembled before them. His eyes were filled with both fear and sadness, reflecting his deep despair. One of the policemen named John approached. He initially wore a stern expression, but when he saw the skinny little cat and its pleading eyes, his heart softened. But instead of scolding him, he bent down and stroked the little cat's head. "You must be starving." Instead of taking Toby to jail, John brought the little cat to the police station. He fed Toby and took care of him. Toby explained that a few years ago, his mother had fallen ill, so he had to go out and earn money to take care of her. Despite his best efforts, his mother did not survive. After hearing about Toby's tragic situation, the other policemen were deeply moved. They decided to take care of the little cat together. Day by day, Toby gradually adjusted to his new life at the police station. He no longer had to worry about going hungry, and he always had a friend to play with. John, the first policeman to meet Toby, grew increasingly attached to the little cat. He decided to adopt Toby, bringing him home and caring for him like a member of his family. From then on, Toby no longer had to live a homeless life. The little cat who once lived in poverty and hardship now had a home and someone to love and care for him. Although Toby's life had been very difficult, thanks to the kindness of the policeman, the little cat finally found true happiness.
Kitty is a cute kitten living in a happy home with her wonderful mother. One day, a group of robbers approached their house with ill intentions. Sensing danger, Kitty's mother immediately stood up to protect her. Despite her best efforts, the robbers were numerous and aggressive. So unfortunately, Kitty's mother did not survive. The thieves ransacked their home, stealing all valuable items before leaving. Although Kitty was furious, she could do nothing at the time. Right then, Kitty resolved to become a police officer to avenge her mother and protect the vulnerable. After many years of training, Kitty officially joined the police force, ready to embark on her journey to find the robbers and avenge her mother. During one patrol, Kitty discovered traces of the robbers and decided to follow them to investigate. Following the clues, Kitty arrived in a dense forest and found the hideout of the robbers. To prevent the criminals from escaping, Kitty gathered all her courage and rushed out to apprehend them. Startled by Kitty's sudden appearance, the robbers hastily attacked in retaliation. Despite being outnumbered, Kitty, armed with skills honed during her training, managed to take down each robber one by one. Kitty's teammates also arrived on the scene. Kitty went home, holding a photo of her mother, and cried tears of happiness for avenging her. Kitty was commended for her outstanding achievement and continued her journey as a police officer. In a small town, there lived a happy family of cats in a little house by the riverbank. This family consisted of Father Tom, Mother Lily, and their little daughter Mimi. Tom was a brave and honest police officer. One day, while Cat Tom was on patrol, a notorious gang appeared in the town. They had been watching Tom's family for a long time, waiting for the opportunity to execute their evil plan. Lily and Mimi were relaxing at home after a long day. Suddenly, the door was forcefully kicked in, and the gang rushed in. Lily, terrified, hugged her daughter tightly, but before they could react, they were kidnapped. When Tom returned home, he found the house ransacked, his wife and daughter missing, and a note that read, "If you want to see your family again, come to the harbor at midnight." Tom quickly convened a meeting with his team and began planning the rescue. Realizing the perpetrators were an extremely dangerous gang, Tom and his team studied the clues left behind and prepared a meticulous plan. Tom arrived at the harbor on time as instructed, but there was no one in sight. He looked around and finally spotted a small boat leaving the dock. Without hesitation, Cat Tom jumped onto a nearby canoe and started to approach. Tom faced unexpected attacks from the gang but refused to surrender. Chased by Tom, the gang fled to a deserted island. With his excellent fighting skills, Cat Tom defeated each gang member in turn. Finally, he confronted the boss, the mastermind behind the kidnapping. Remembering his happy little family, Tom felt empowered to defeat the boss. The battle was fierce, and in the end, Tom was victorious. Tom quickly rescued Lily and Mimi. The family embraced each other in happiness. The police arrived, and the gang was captured. Returning to town, Cat Tom was warmly welcomed by the residents, admired for the fierce love he had for his family.